The Tennessee Titans are flying to John Harbaugh on Thursday, and whether he says yes or not, it proves the Tennessee Titans are one of the best job openings in the NFL. I'll rank them on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. On today's show, the John Harbaugh Sweepstakes are heating up. I'll tell you what the latest is with the Tennessee Titans flying to meet Harbaugh on Thursday. I'll also rank the head coach openings in the NFL and talk about why I think the Titans are one of the most desirable jobs in the league. Also, we got a massive update on the Titans timeline and when they can hire their head coach. I'll tell you what to expect over the next 7 to 10 days. And I'll tell you why the Tennessee Titans absolutely cannot trade for a head coach like Mike Tomlin or Matt Lafleur. Before we dive into all of it, I do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day here on the Locked On Titans podcast. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, what are you doing? No one is keeping you as up to date, as informed, as entertained on the head coaching search like I am here on the Locked On Titans podcast. Also, we're going to have free agency. We're going to have the draft right around the corner. Make sure that you stay locked in to the Locked On Titans podcast. But with all that being said, again, the latest on John Harbaugh is that he had his meeting with the New York Giants on Wednesday. Harbaugh was in New York or New Jersey, whatever you want to call it, meeting with the Giants, and there was this expectation that they were not going to let him out of the building and that he was going to be the New York Giants' next head coach. Well, I will tell you this, as I've said all week, as I said last week, I think John Harbaugh will be the coach for the New York Giants. He is not coming to the Tennessee Titans, but the Tennessee Titans are going to John Harbaugh because it was reported that Amy Adams Strunk, maybe some of the Titans brass, are going to go meet with John Harbaugh at his home on Thursday. There have been reports of her plane leaving Houston, landing in Nashville on Wednesday. I think that's to pick up Mike Borgonzi and the crew to go meet with John Harbaugh. Harbaugh is going to have a meeting with the Titans and the Falcons, who are his 3 finalists with the Giants after all. But again, I have tried to tell you guys, I have tried to warn you, and I find the conversation pretty funny that sometimes I tell you guys stuff that maybe isn't publicly confirmed yet, and then people get in my comments and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, when really just you don't know what you're talking about quite yet. And this John Harbaugh situation is playing out exactly like I imagined. He is using the Tennessee Titans for leverage to get more money, more demands, more stuff out of the New York Giants. And at this point, the answer or the question would be, well, then why is he giving the Tennessee Titans a meeting? Well, number one, I'm recording this around 6 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday night. By the time we hit 10, 11, midnight on Wednesday evening, he could have said, actually, never mind, don't come. I'm signing with the Giants, which would not surprise me whatsoever. But even if he lets the Titans come to him and he lets the Falcons come to him, that's a courtesy. That's a, hey, I was interested in you. Let me at least, it reminds me of, if you've ever seen the movie The Dark Knight, which is my favorite movie of all time. Morgan Freeman's character, Lucius Fox, flies to China to meet with Mr. Lau, the businessman. And he says, a phone call could have sufficed. And he said, well, we didn't want you to think that we were wasting your time. And he said, not deliberately, just accidentally. Like right now, the Tennessee Titans are accidentally wasting their time on John Harbaugh. But here's the reality. Here's the good news for Titans fans, and it's something that I mentioned earlier this week. The fact that Harbaugh has the Titans in his final 3 teams proves that the Tennessee Titans are one of the best jobs in the NFL. And I talked about it in a short video that I put out on Tuesday night, but don't listen to the haters and the trolls who want to say, oh, Cam Ward sucks, ownership is trash, the Titans are one of the most desirable jobs in the entire NFL, and that is going to give them access to some of the best candidates that are available, and that includes John Harbaugh, because in my world, outside of the Baltimore Ravens, which are by far the best job in the NFL. They have a playoff ready-made team. The Ravens are one of the top 5 organizations in the entire NFL over the last 20, 25 years, basically, since they became a team. Other than the Ravens, which is where Harbaugh left, the 3 best job openings are New York, Atlanta, and Tennessee. Those are the 3 best jobs outside of Baltimore. And I think even if John Harbaugh says no, and when John Harbaugh says no, as I've been trying to prep you guys for throughout the last 10 days, I've been trying to warn you and get you ready to go. But when he says no, that doesn't mean that the Titans all of a sudden are a bad job. The best candidate by far on the market, and whether you want to believe that or not, the NFL is telling you John Harbaugh is the best candidate on the market right now. Whether you want to believe it or not, that means that the Tennessee Titans are one of the best openings, because the best candidate on the market wouldn't just take interviews with anybody. And the fact that Harbaugh is not going to meet with the Raiders, the Steelers, the Browns, the Dolphins, the Cardinals, that tells you all you need to know. So if you're a Tennessee Titans fan right now and you're like, oh, dang, man, I wanted John Harbaugh, I thought, he's the best candidate. It's not such a bad thing, guys. They may not get the top guy, but I don't think the Titans are the top team. But the fact that they are included in that list does mean great things for the Titans and how the rest of the NFL sees the Titans as a location. And if we're ranking these spots, I told you, Baltimore is my number 1. Baltimore is the best job available in the NFL. Now, Harbaugh, obviously, not going there. He just got fired by them. But, you have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and a lot of talent on defense, including Kyle Hamilton. And the Ravens have been a great organization for forever. You have stable ownership, stable front office. Anything that you need, you got it in Baltimore. So, listen, to me, Baltimore is with a bullet the number 1 opening in the NFL, and nobody can even come close. But after that, I would have the New York Giants, which is why I understand why Harbaugh would go there. They have a good, promising young quarterback in Jackson Dart. Their roster is excellent, in my opinion. They are primed for a big-time switch-up like Jacksonville just did. Jacksonville roster, really good. Get them a good coach. Now they're good, okay? I look at the Giants and I say, that's a great roster with wide receiver 1, left tackle 1, good tandem of running backs, good young quarterback, great defensive line with pass rushers. In the New York City market. Like, that's pretty hard to beat at the end of the day. So I would have the Giants number 2. Then, honestly, at number 3, to me, it's kind of a tie between the Atlanta Falcons and the Tennessee Titans, and it really just depends on what you're looking for as a head coach. If you want a ready-made team that can go to the playoffs next year and compete, I think the Atlanta Falcons are the team for you. You have an owner that's willing to do whatever it takes. You have really good talent on the offensive side of the ball, some really good talent on the defensive side of the ball. Yes, they don't have a first-round pick. Yes, there's some uncertainty with the quarterback situation. But if you have a veteran quarterback that you're interested in bringing in that can be a one-year stopgap for you, that's a team that even with a veteran stopgap quarterback, they went 8-9 with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix. So, Atlanta is a team that is rearing and ready to go. But if that's not what you're looking for because you don't have a quarterback situation, there is some uncertainty with the general manager situation. They don't have a first-round pick. If you're looking to kind of start earlier in the process with more of a blank slate to build things up, that is the Titans. The Titans are the best blank slate team in the NFL right now. You have Cam Ward, a young, promising quarterback. You have $100 million in cap space. Mike Borgonzi is well respected within the NFL. Yes, Amy Adams-Strunk has had some firings as of late, but don't you think that Amy Adams-Strunk is looking to have some stability and looking to be a little less quick triggered here going forward? She can't just keep doing that. So now, whereas you could look at it and say, oh, why would you take the Titans job? You could be fired in a second. If Amy does that again, then no coach will want to come here. She can't do that again. So I think the next general manager, Mike Borgonzi, and then the next head coach, whoever they hire, they're going to get way more patience than they probably even deserve, just so Amy could say, I was patient. You know what I mean? So I don't think that the ownership concerns that you guys put in my comments and stuff are as significant to head coaches as you want to say, because at the end of the day, Amy can't be as impulsive as she, even though I don't think she's been impulsive. She should have fired Brian Callahan. She should have fired Rand Carthon. The only problem was firing Mike Vrabel. She should have fired John Robinson. Firing Mike Vrabel was the only impulsive wrong move that she's made. You know, everything else has been correcting mistakes on hires, not fires. So with that in mind, to me, those are the top 4 jobs by far. I have Baltimore way up at the top, then New York, then I'd have the Titans and the Falcons tied, depending on what you want. And after that, the Raiders, the Steelers, the Browns, the Dolphins. Look, the Raiders, you get the number 1 pick. You're going to get Fernando Mendoza at quarterback. But that is actually bad ownership that's been a problem for a long time. Their roster has some pieces, but it doesn't have enough to come in right away and compete in the AFC West, the hardest division in football. Pittsburgh, I talked about Pittsburgh yesterday. You have no quarterback. Following Mike Tomlin, yeah, it's a great organization, but a lot of your best players are old and on their last legs. The Browns, the Dolphins, the Cardinals, do I even need to explain why those are terrible jobs? Tua, Kyler Murray, bad organizations themselves. The Browns, I mean, come on now. What are we talking about here? So to me, I know that some people are going to be disappointed that John Harbaugh is not going to be the head coach of the Titans, but what it means for John Harbaugh to pick the Titans in his top 3, I think that means something, and Titans fans should be very excited about what that can mean going forward. Now, when are the Tennessee Titans actually going to hire a head coach then? Well, good news, Titans fans. They can hire a head coach anytime they want now, and I'll explain why. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades that you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. I love how simple Quo makes everything. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number so nothing gets missed. Everyone sees the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal. It's no surprise that Quo is the number 1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNFL. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNFL. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Today's episode is also brought to you by the Ultimate QB. Listen, guys, have you ever wanted to step into the shoes of the number 1 overall draft pick and lead your franchise to victory? Well, now you can. There's a mobile game just for you. It's called Ultimate QB Football Legend. In this game, you step into the cleats again of a number 1 draft pick quarterback, and you got to lead your failing franchise into a dynasty. You can sign contracts, train and upgrade your player, build chemistry with your teammates, give input on roster moves to your general manager. You can actually play games in 2D and rise through the ranks to become a football legend. Ultimate QB is totally free to play. It has no ads. It works 100% offline. It's perfect for when you want to sneak in a quick game or two on the go. Just head to ultimate-qb.com. That's ultimate-qb.com. Or you could just search Ultimate QB in your app store. And I've got a special something for you guys. If you use the promo code LOCKEDON in all caps in the game store, you're going to get a free boost to start your career. It's Ultimate QB, Football Legend, QB1. It's your legacy. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We talked about the John Harbaugh update and where I would rank the Tennessee Titans job in terms of desirability in the NFL. But now we need to talk about the timeline. When can the Tennessee Titans actually hire a head coach? Well, the answer to that question, folks, is right now. The Tennessee Titans can hire a coach if they want. They have satisfied the Rooney Rule. How did they do that? Well, they had an in-person interview earlier this week on Monday with Raheem Morris, the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Not to be reductive or anything, but Raheem Morris is a black man. And then Mike McDaniel met with the Tennessee Titans in person on Wednesday. And if you were unaware, Mike McDaniel, the former head coach of the Miami Dolphins, is biracial. He's half white and half black. So that does check off both the boxes of the Rooney Rule. Now, I think both of those guys are deserving to be head coaches in the NFL. Raheem Morris may have had 2 opportunities before he didn't capitalize on, but that guy is still a pretty good coach, even if he may not be good enough to get one of these jobs. And Mike McDaniel, I thought he just did an okay job with Miami. He may not be one of my top candidates, but I do think that Mike McDaniel gets a head coaching job in this cycle. So the Titans did 2 good interviews there that satisfy the Rooney Rule, which means they are legally allowed to hire their head coach. And look, I know that this conversation is less than appetizing. I don't like talking about it either. But as long as the NFL has a rule that says that teams can't hire a head coach until they interview 2 people of color or 2 females, we have to talk about it. And people are asking me about it, and we want to know. So I know that it's not a fun conversation to have. I don't enjoy talking about that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, that's the rules. And the Titans have satisfied those rules. So the Titans can hire their head coach anytime they want. But here's the reality. I don't think they're going to hire their head coach anytime soon. And when I say soon, I mean in the next 7 to 10 days. I don't think that the Tennessee Titans have a head coach by Monday or something like that per se. I think it's more likely that the Titans hire their next head coach like 10 days from now, next weekend, looking at, January the 23rd, which is Friday, January the 24th, Saturday, January 25th, on Sunday. I think the Tennessee Titans will hire their next head coach next weekend. But the point is, if they go visit John Harbaugh at his house on Thursday, and he does say, which I don't believe, but let's just for the sake of conversation, and John Harbaugh says, I want to be the next Tennessee Titans head coach. The Titans are legally allowed to put pen to paper and hire him now, which is important. And I think that the reason the Titans aren't going to hire somebody until next weekend is because they need to do their second round of interviews. They have done 19 interviews. Well, it'll be 19 on Thursday when they talk to John Harbaugh officially. But not very many of them were in person. About maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 at most of those have actually been in-person meetings. And the Tennessee Titans are going to move from round 1 to round 2 of their head coaching search and do in-person interviews with all of their candidates. Also, something to consider is there could be candidates that the Tennessee Titans are interested in that aren't available for in-person interviews. Think about a guy like Chris Shula. Think about, they didn't even request him, but just for conversation's sake, think about a Clint Kubiak. What if the Rams win this week? Then they won't be available for in-person interviews. So there is a chance that the Titans wait even longer than that if they want somebody who's coaching a playoff team. But I got to be honest with you. I don't think that that's going to end up being the case. I think the Titans are going to end up hiring somebody who is available, and I think that hire will come by next weekend. But at the end of the day, the reason for that is, again, like I said, the Titans need to go through their second round of interviews. Remember over the weekend, the Titans finally officially announced the 7 head coaches that they had interviews with during week 1. This week, they have done another round of round 1 interviews with their initial candidates. They have 19 people. What they're going to do is they're going to whittle that down. They're going to whittle it down to about 5 or 6 people, maybe 7 at the max. And then they're going to do in-person interviews, another round of interviews, a secondary interview with all the people that they're interested in. And then I think after those final interviews, then they'll compose themselves, they'll gather as a group, they'll go over everything they've seen, and they'll make their decision. So I think the Titans have a head coach by next weekend, the 23rd, the 24th, the 26th. That's my take. That's my opinion. That's my guess. Could I be wrong about that and they could wait even longer? Absolutely. Absolutely, that's possible. But that would be That would be my idea as well. Now, again, they're allowed to do that because they have satisfied the Rooney Rule. Now, I want to talk about Mike McDaniel, who was in person with the Tennessee Titans on Wednesday. And Mike McDaniel is a guy who's getting a ton of buzz right now, and I know we talked about him on yesterday's show, but after he actually went and met with the Titans in person, and funny, there was a picture circulating online from Mike McDaniel, who flew from Detroit to Nashville on Wednesday, and it was a picture of him in the Detroit airport getting ready to go to Nashville, and it's him. That's 100% sure. Now, not that I didn't believe that Mike McDaniel was coming to Nashville or anything, but it's always funny to see those kind of pictures. It's like Bigfoot, like you catch somebody out in the wild or something like that. But Mike McDaniel makes a ton of sense, guys. I'm still pretty convinced that he would be a better offensive coordinator than a head coach for the Tennessee Titans. But the reality is, why would you be the offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans when you could be the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles? You know what I mean? Like, if you're not going to get the big chair and you're going to have to take an assistant job as a coordinator, why would you go to the Titans, who don't have a lot of weapons on offense and have a young quarterback? Like, I would much rather, if I got to spend a year as an offensive coordinator before I move on to get another head coaching opportunity, I'd much rather do that with the Chargers or with the Eagles, like I said, like there are, or the Commanders or something like that. Like, I just don't think that Mike McDaniel would take the offensive coordinator job for the Titans unless his best buddy Robert Saleh got the head coaching job. But would he be upset that they gave the job to Saleh and not him? And then maybe say, nah, I ain't coming anyway. You hired me for the head coaching interview. You didn't pick me. I'm not coming there as a backup. I think that would be a fair position for Mike McDaniel to make as well. So, listen, I think McDaniel is a very good teacher. He's good at teaching things to people. He's very digestible in the way that he gives information. You watch videos of him talking to different players and coaching them up. He does a really good job, and that is teaching. In my opinion, whether you're a teacher, you're a coach, you're a manager, you're a tutor, you're whatever, if your job is to teach people and cultivate people, you have to be a good teacher at the core. All of those jobs, at the core of it is teaching. And to be a good teacher, and I don't want to make it sound offensive, but you have to dumb things down for people when you're talking about complex things. So in a video that my guy Justin Graver from Titan Film Room, he posted a video of Mike McDaniel at Dolphins practice. And he's talking about Tua Tagovailoa's base, like his feet. And he's saying that we want a wide base for the quarterback, because then you don't have to take false steps to get to a wide base, and you can torque your hips and torque your core with a wide base, and it helps you throw the ball and get rid of the ball quicker. So that's the technique and the mechanics that I'm teaching Tua. And he was explaining it to a Dolphins executive, okay? And the way that he explained it to the executive was, think about Tiger Woods. Think about a golf swing. You keep a wide base on your driver. When you're hitting driver, you're supposed to have a much wider base than you do when you're hitting irons or you're chipping or you're putting. You have a much wider base so that you can generate more torque, you can generate more force when you drive the ball. Now, you may not care about golf, and that's perfectly fine, but the moral of the story is Mike McDaniel did a great job of dumbing down something as complex as quarterback mechanics into something that your average everyday dude can understand, because most average everyday dudes golf. You know what I mean? So he was turning something complex that's complicated, like football mechanics and throwing the football, and turning it into something that your everyday guy would understand pretty quickly. And that right there is teaching. It's not to say that your audience is dumb. And quite frankly, I do this a lot on the show. I use analogies. I use metaphors. I use the example from The Dark Knight. You have to use these sort of things. Comparisons. Comparison is the father of learning, is a famous phrase. Using metaphors and comparisons and analogies. That's how you get people to understand things that are complex, that they maybe don't understand, by teaching them using something that they do understand. So shout out to Mike McDaniel, who does a really good job of teaching. He's obviously a very gifted offensive mind. The questions are the leadership. And I've seen people push back and say, the Dolphins didn't quit and this and that. And I've gone over my reasons for having concerns. But at the end of the day, I ranked Mike McDaniel is the number 7 coach on my wish list. He's in the middle of my happy tier. I would still be happy, but more importantly than his interview, not to be reductive here, but he does check the final box. So having Mike McDaniel in is smart, not only to get his take on Cam Ward, to look at him as a potential candidate for real. I think he is a serious candidate for this job, but also now the Titans are in the clear to make that move. So that's the timeline that I'm looking for. That's the update on the Rooney Rule. Mike McDaniel was in on Wednesday, and now the Titans go fly to John Harbaugh to see what's going to go on with that. But with all that being said, I do want to make my point here. The Tennessee Titans can absolutely not trade for a head coach. Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Home Chef. As the new year gets going, a lot of people are trying to simplify their routines, and dinner is a big one. Between busy work days, cold winter nights, and packed schedules, having an easy, reliable dinner plan makes a huge difference, and that's where Home Chef comes in. Home Chef takes the stress out of cooking by delivering fresh, pre-portioned ingredients right to your door. With easy-to-follow recipes that actually taste great, they're rated number 1 by users of other meal kits for quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease, and it's easy to see why. Meals come ready to fit your schedule. 30-minute recipes, oven-ready trays, quick lunches. It saves time and money. Home Chef customers actually save an average of $86 per month on groceries. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering my listeners 50% off your first box, free shipping, and get this, free dessert for life. Go to homechef.com/lockedon. Once again, that's homechef.com/lockedon for 50% off your first box, free shipping, and free dessert for life. You must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert. Once again, it's homechef.com/lockedon. Today's episode is also brought to you by Indeed. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want a candidate who truly matches what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. If you ever needed to hire someone, if I needed to hire someone for the show, which I don't, but at the end of the day, I'd go straight to Indeed and be very specific about what I needed. Real experiments, not just experience, not just a resume buzzword. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with less stress, less time, and more results. Use Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Once again, go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Talked about the John Harbaugh update, where I would put the Tennessee Titans as a job in the NFL. We talked about the timeline for a hire and why I think it's going to be next weekend that the Tennessee Titans actually make their move now. And a little update here. I always have to look at my phone this time of year. I don't mean to be like not paying attention or anything like that, but news breaks all the time. And a guy who I'm really interested in is Robert Saleh. And the Tennessee Titans are going to meet with Robert Saleh on Sunday. Okay, so really love hearing that for the Titans. It'll be virtual interview if the 49ers win, in-person interview. If the Titans don't win, he's going to meet with the Ravens as well. I think he makes sense for both teams. Again, if the Titans get Robert Saleh as their head coach, Mike McDaniel would make a ton of sense as an offensive coordinator if he's willing to take that position. But regardless, no matter what the Titans want to do at head coach, they cannot trade for a coach. That is the one thing they cannot do. Number one, I think there are a lot of good options on the market right now between a John Harbaugh, a Kevin Stefanski, a Mike McCarthy, a Robert Saleh, a Cliff Kingsbury, a Mike McDaniel, a Chris Shula. They didn't request him, but a Clint Kubiak, for example, Jeff Hafley as well. Like, there are so many decent options out there that the Titans can't afford to go out and spend draft capital. And think about the last coach that was actually traded for. Who was the last coach that actually was traded for? It was Sean Payton. Now, that did work out pretty well for the Denver Broncos, right? But look at what they gave up. Look at what they gave up. The Broncos traded a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick. And the Broncos had the number 29 first-round pick, so the Titans have number 4, not number 29. So, it would be a totally different deal for the Titans to give up their first-round pick for a coach. I'm not giving up 2 or 3 picks for a head coach. What are we talking about here? Especially when Matt Lafleur would be my number 1 candidate for sure if he was available. But Matt Lafleur isn't as good of a coach as Sean Payton had been in his career. Payton was one of the best coaches of the last 20 years. You're not giving up anywhere close to that for a guy like Matt Lafleur. Come on, let's be serious here. Mike Tomlin, he's probably closer to the Sean Payton conversation. But again, Mike Tomlin does not want to coach. It's not a situation where the Titans could even trade for Mike Tomlin. He wants a break. He wants to spend time with his family. There's some conversation out there that Tomlin might not come back to coaching at all. He might just go into the media. He's had his fill. So, I just think any idea of trading for a coach is asinine. The Titans roster is nowhere near good enough to do that. Their picks are way too good to give up for a coach. And Matt Lafleur is not worth trading for, in my opinion, with the type of quality candidate pool that is out there right now. It just does not make any sense whatsoever for the Tennessee Titans. It doesn't. But with that being said, that is going to do it for today's edition. So much going on right now, guys. Again, make sure that you get subscribed, stay up to date, stay informed, stay entertained, stay locked in here with me. But that's going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.